Was Bağdat Khatun truly guilty of such heinous acts? Did she really abandon her husband, then orchestrate the murder of her father and her brothers, and even abort her own child, all just to marry Bahadur Khan? The story of Bağdat Khatun is not merely one of love, but rather the tragic tale of an entire state's collapse. She did not willingly step into the fate of the Ilkhanate Empire. Her destiny was thrust upon her. How did society transition from a matriarchal culture to a structure that regarded women as absolute property? Would a powerful ruler dare to tell his own nephew, "Divorce your wife, for I intend to take her as my own"? Would a woman truly offer her own husband her brother's daughter as a bride? First, let's quickly hit that subscribe button on our channel, and then together, let's dive into the mysterious corridors of the Ilkhanate Palace. Are you ready to come along? Please express your opinions regarding this video in the comments. I'll see you with us. Bağdat Khatun is the daughter of the Çoban family, the true source of power for the Ilkhanate state. Her father, Emir Çoban, was not merely an emir, he was the unseen backbone of the state, controlling armies, appointments, governorships, and the tax system. Historians summarize this period as follows. Abu Sa'id Khan was merely the ruler. The state, however, was Emir Çoban. If it were today, people would ask, is this man the state's emir, or is he Çoban holding? Emir Çoban also took 4 women from the Khan's family for himself, 2 of whom were Ilkhanate Khan's own daughters. One note, the Ilkhanates had been Muslim for a while, but they couldn't quite abandon their ancient Mongol culture. Emir Çoban's eldest son, Dimash Khoja, was the governor of Iraq and Azerbaijan. His other son was the governor of Khorasan. His son was also the governor of Kerman and Iran. Timurtash, however, had already been made a scourge upon Anatolia back in Ilkhanite's time. Baghdad Khatun was married to Bahadur Khan's cousin, Sheikh Hassan, in the year 1325, when she was still only 18 years old. It's unknown how romantic a choice this marriage was, but it was certainly a political maneuver. Through this marriage, the Çoban family, by bringing the Şelayirliler family to their side, had significantly strengthened their position within the state. Everything was going smoothly. There's a place called Uçan Yaylası. There's a grand celebration happening. Everyone is present there. Bahadur Khan is also there, naturally. 20-year-old Bahadur Khan at one point noticed that next to his uncle's son, Sheikh Hassan, there was a stunning beauty. "Who the hell is this fairy maiden? There is her," and he grumbled to his men. They then explained, "My lord, this beauty is the only daughter of your emir of emirs, Tulun Noyan's son, Emir Çoban. However, she is married to Sheikh Hassan from the Khan family." "Whoa," said Bahadur Khan. Well. So Emir Çoban's daughter, So it means our cousin Sheikh Hassan's wife as well. And so at that very moment, the journey towards the downfall of the mighty Ilkhanate began, an empire whose vast borders stretched from China all the way to the Aegean Sea. The lightning bolts that flashed from Bahadur Khan's eyes began to splinter and crack the very pillars that were holding his state together. Do you think the Khan saw the symbolic threat to his authority in her beauty? But even if he did, he didn't care at all. Love and politics merged in the Khan's mind, and this famous saying was etched into history. We'll tell you. He called Emir Çoban, you know Mongol laws. He said, go. The palace gossip network was already overloaded. The system had virtually collapsed. Most minds are on a blue screen now. Emir Çoban knew what was coming next. "I know, my Khan," he said. Bahadur Khan continued, You were the one who brought your son, Urum's governor, to me for beheading, for not obeying the law." I know you well, he said. Emir Çoban replied, May you prosper, my Khan." Emir Çoban, according to the laws of Genghis Khan, all women of the world are the property of the Mongol rulers. Do you know this as well? I know, my Khan." "Well then, obey the law and have your daughter, the lady of Baghdad, divorce her husband." "I will take it." Emir Çoban stammered, my Khan." Indeed, this statement was not merely directed at Sheikh Hassan, but rather it was like an arrow piercing the very honor of the Çoban family. As Emir Çoban departed from the Khan's presence, he became acutely aware that he was experiencing panic for the very first time in his entire life. In reality, by summoning ruler Sheikh Hassan to his private chambers, He possessed the authority to divorce his wife. Emir Choban then clearly understood that Bahadur Khan was no longer the mere 11-year-old boy whom he had personally placed upon the royal throne. He had noticed some things. He was testing the Choban family's loyalty, or he would destroy this family whose fame and wealth had grown too vast. Bahadur Khan was right in a way. However, without Emir Choban, it was utterly impossible to effectively manage this entire state. Just a mere few years ago, all the other emirs, every single one apart from Choban, had banded together and openly rebelled, and Choban had decisively taken every single one of their heads. Reflecting on these past events, Emir Choban tried his best to relax. Emir Choban dispatched Bağdat Khatun and her husband to Karabakh. Bahadur Khan then understood that Emir Choban was not agreeable to this arrangement. Emir Choban was openly and clearly opposing this particular demand. Of course, this strong opposition was certainly not meant for Bağdat Khatun herself. It was for the honor of the state's strategic mind, and also for his personal honor. However, in the Mongol tradition, the will of the Khans recognized no state reason, no pride, nothing of the sort. The act of resistance became the very beginning of a great disaster. By seizing the wife of one of his own family members, Bahadur Khan was asserting his absolute authority even within his own family. Emir Choban departed from the capital, citing the turmoil that had erupted in Khorasan as his pretext. He would also be well out of the sovereign's direct view. He would also strengthen his army, just in case. Bahadur Khan, however, began with those closest to him. Dumash Kosha, the governor of Iraq and Azerbaijan, lived in Tabriz. In addition to his governorships in Mesut, he also managed the central treasury. For a long time, informers had been coming to Bahadur Khan. Dimash Koka is a thief. His treasury is richer than the Khan's own. He cannot find a place to put all his gold, and they would say. But even these words were not enough. One day, Bahadur Khan's mother whispers something like this into her son's ear.
My boy, this fellow here is having a sordid affair with one of your late father's wives, just so you know.
The following day, those passing by the palace witnessed Dimash Kocha's head dangling from the walls. Emir Choban advanced with his highly trusted army, yet the forces he had raised and nurtured refused to attack Bahadur Khan's army. Emir Choban was forced to flee, but they took his head in the place where he sought refuge. The outcome remained the same for the other sons. Bahadur Khan had turned his ambition into vengeance. He opened the Choban family's ledger, closing each account in turn. Yet the family's roots were uprooted, but the state's wisdom was also drained. Bahadur Khan summoned his own son, Hasan Buzurg, to his royal court, and most likely said to him, "Well, king, there's no longer anywhere for you to escape. Go on, divorce your wife, I'll be taking her." There was nothing Sheikh Hassan could possibly do. If he knew he could alter the outcome, he would gladly sacrifice his life. The farewell was like a death sentence. Their marriage hadn't begun with love, but now they loved each other with immense passion. They resigned themselves to their destiny. There was nothing left for them to do but await the day of reckoning. Hassan departed without a single glance behind him. Baghdad Khatun watched his going away with eyes full of tears. And Baghdad Khatun rose to the position of chief consort in the palace. What exactly did Baghdad Khatun do there? She recognized her rivals by their very scent, carefully selected her trusted allies, and then began to skillfully manage and control them. She whispered such influential words into the Khan's ear that historians have specifically made a note of it. The Khan learned to hold his tongue when by Baghdad Khatun's side. Before you the art conservate, therefore it was the men who would speak. Now their lips are parched and dry. Before the viziers would make their plans. Now their hands and pens tremble. Before Bahadur Khan himself would decide. He wasn't making decisions anymore. The decisions were now being made for him. This was the beginning, but only for the Choban family's enemies. New, more formidable enemies emerged. Perhaps Baghdad Khatun was taking revenge for what was done to her family. It's unknown. She appointed her former husband, Sheikh Hassan, as governor of Anatolia, replacing her brother Tumatash. This position, however, was not the peak of power, but actually the final step. There was an ironic turn of events that ultimately altered Baghdad Khatun's fate right in the midst of all her grandeur and ambition for power. And this unexpected turn of events originated from within her very own family. When her elder brother Dimash Kocha passed away, she had taken his daughter Dilshat Khatun under her wing and provided for her. Then, one day, she herself with her own hands introduced this young woman to Bahadur Khan. Some historians have written that this was not merely a simple introduction. It was an ancient Mongol tradition to present women as gifts to those they held in high esteem. This behavior clearly demonstrates that Baghdad Khatun is truly suffering from the intoxication of power. However, youth had always represented a fresh and new possibility within the sphere of power. Bahadur Khan's interest, which was once directed towards Baghdad Khatun, now completely shifted to Dilshat. Although Baghdad Khatun eventually realized the grave mistake she had made, it was unfortunately already far too late. Baghdad Khatun ultimately lost not the state itself, but rather the ruler's crucial attention and favor. When interest waned, power also left. The year 1333. Bahadur Khan married Dilshad Khatun, the daughter of Dimash Hoja, who was Baghdad Khatun's older brother. Let's remind you again, Dimash Hoja was the man whose head Bahadur Khan had hung at the palace gate to take Baghdad Khatun. As far as we can tell, Dilshad Khatun harbored no ambition for power or influence, and she certainly never pursued such a path. Women were no longer laying their cards openly on a silver platter. Instead, they exchanged them through sharp, venomous glances. Even the ancient echoing palace walls themselves seemed to whisper, one woman can change a state, but two women can completely redraw the map. Sa'id Bahadur Khan, who could no longer find men to send on campaigns, November 30th, year 1335. One Bandes 4 and 13, that's 1330. He campaigns against Uzbek Khan. Bağdat Khatun is with him too, even though she's fallen from grace. His other wives stayed in the palace. What's more, Dilshat Khatun is pregnant. It is quite interesting that Baghdad Khatun never had any children from either Sheikh Hassan or Bahadur Khan. Someone in the 80s penned a theatrical piece, apparently knowing nothing about Baghdad Khatun beyond her mere name. Let's also make sure to mention that as a brief side note. The narrative presented there describes a completely fictitious lady from Baghdad. And while we are discussing this matter, it is important to point out, Bahadur Khan, as a matter of fact, had not been blessed with children from his other consorts. It was Dilshad Khatun who was expected to bear a child for the great Khan, provided of course that destiny would grant them this opportunity. Oveita in its relentless way once again intervened, and Bahadur Khan, falling gravely ill on the journey, perished. There was a plague epidemic. This presented a golden opportunity for Baghdad Khatun's enemies. Immediately, the gossip started. The main headline was this: Baghdad Khatun, jealous of Dilshad Khatun, poisoned Bahadur Khan. It was in fact inconceivable that Baghdad Khatun, whose power stemmed from Bahadur Khan, would destroy its very source. Following the death of Bahadur Khan, a person who was distantly related to the Ilkhanate dynasty ascended to the position of Khan, Arpa Khan. Indeed, the year was 1335. Bahadur Khan had passed away. The throne has been shaken. The palace is no longer a bed of roses, but a minefield. The enemies of the Lady of Baghdad declared, "Now it's your turn. Come and face us." It's game over. The king on the chessboard had, in a single moment, been reduced to nothing more than a solitary pawn. Arpa Khan, who would himself be removed from power and eliminated just 6 months later, ordered the execution of Baghdad Khatun. She was still in her 20s, not yet having reached her 30th year. She was far too young to bear the immense weight of the world upon her shoulders, yet possessed an ambition so fierce that she yearned to carry it. He didn't destroy the Khanate in fact destroyed him. When Bahadur Khan began to uproot all the very foundations of the state just to reach him, its collapse became utterly inevitable. The Khan got caught in his own tangled web, and ultimately he dragged the entire state down with him. If you're wondering what became of Dilshad Khatun, she had a daughter with Bahadur Khan. Then, as a part of the disintegrated Ilkhanate, she married Sheikh Hassan, who was the former husband of Baghdad Khatun and had founded the Jalayrid state. Do you suppose Sheikh Hassan took his revenge on Bahadur Khan? Did you say story? That's entirely up to your own wisdom and good judgment. Have you subscribed yet?